In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. The Seven Skies, Part 3. This time I will talk about the miracle verses of Quran in three other chapters about the skies. 1. Chapter 79, Surah Nazi'at, verses 27, 28, and 29. Verse 27, it states, "Are you harder to create or the sky? We constructed it." According to this verse, the construction of the sky is harder than creation of us. B. The next verse, verse 28, states, "He raised high its canopy, then put it into right condition." I have translated the Arabic word فَسَوَّاهَا to then put it into a right condition, right good state. The verse I have translated says, he high its canopy, then put it into a right good state. فَسَوَّاهَا, that is the closest translation that one can do for it in English. But in the part 1 of these discussions, I talked about this word and I explained that it means that every small parts are exactly as they should be, like a person who draws the picture of a man or woman or makes his or her statue. All parts of the picture or the statue should be exactly the way that they should be. So God made all parts of the sky exactly as they should be. This verse states that the sky was a canopy, which means a dome. So it is the sky around the earth, not the higher sky, which contains the stars and the galaxies. The next verse, verse 29, shows more that these three verses are about the sky which is around the earth and close to it. This verse, verse 29, states, "And he made dark its night and brought out its light." We know that the night and the day, which has light, are in the earth, and in the bigger sky, which has stars and galaxies, there is no day or night. Now I talk briefly about the importance of the seven skies around the earth. And as I said earlier in part 1 of these discussions, there are 5 skies around the earth. In fact, 5 spheres which have air in them. And there are 2 other skies or 2 spheres which do not have air, but they have severe magnetism. I talked about these 7 skies in part 1 of the discussion, but now I will talk a little more about them, hoping that I can show a slight amount of their glory. Chapter 2, Surah, that is Surah Bagara, verse 29 states, "He is who created for you all that is in the earth, then he directed himself to the sky. So he made them complete 7 skies." Here, the Arabic word فَسَّوَّاهُنَّ is used. that in English cannot be completely translated, but I explained before that it means that every part of it, he made it exactly the kind that he wanted it. Now I will talk about these seven skies as the science says. The first sky, which is called the troposphere, is the sky which is around the earth. And and we are living in it. At the lower part, it is hot at the equator and icy cold at the north and south poles. At the temperate zone and also at the equator, the higher it is from the earth, the colder it is. And at the top of the troposphere, all around the earth, its temperature is a few degrees below 0 degrees centigrade. At the second sky, which is called a stratosphere, the temperature starts at a few degrees below 0 degrees centigrade. That is the temperature which is at the top of the first sky, and it gradually increases when it goes up. At the third sky, which is called mesosphere, the temperature starts at a high degree, the temperature that was at the top of the second sky, exactly that amount. But it gradually decreases when it goes up, and it becomes 100 degrees below 0 centigrade. Between the first sky and the second sky, between the troposphere and stratosphere, there is a buffer zone which is a few kilometers thick. In this buffer zone, the temperature remains the same. Its temperature is a few degrees below centigrade, which is the temperature of the upper part of the troposphere, and throughout these few kilometers of its thickness, it is the same. It is amazing, but we don't know why, how it can happen. Hopefully, the science in the future will show why. These buffer zones are between all the skies. Between all those skies, between each two of them, there is a buffer zone which has the temperature of the upper part of the lower sky, and it remains the same throughout. Astronomers have just noticed these changes, but they don't know why these changes happen, and we hope that in the future the science will show why. At the third sky, the mesosphere, the temperature gradually decreases at the top, and at the top of it, it becomes 100 degrees. 100 degrees. Sorry, at the top of it, it becomes minus 100 degrees. Then there is the buffer zone between the third sky and the fourth sky with temperature of minus 100 degrees. And at the fourth sky, which is called thermosphere, the temperature starts at minus 100 degrees, but it gradually goes up and it reaches 1500 degrees. This is amazing, but we don't know how this happens. At the fifth sky, which is called the exosphere, the air here is very, very thin and just very light atoms like hydrogen and helium are there. And they are so dispersed that between each two molecules there is a few kilometers distance. So it is nonsense to talk about the temperature of the exosphere. Above these five skies, or in fact five spheres, because they are all around the Earth, there are two magnetospheres which have a strong magnetism and they do not have any air. So altogether, there are 7 skies around the Earth. 5 of them have air, 2 of them do not have air, but they have magnetism. The first magnetism is around the Earth, and the second one is around the Sun. And it is very thick. Both of them are very thick, but the one around the Sun is so thick that it covers the Sun and all the planets around it, including the Earth. The magnetic force of the Earth, which is the sixth sky, starts at about 1,000 kilometers above the Earth, and it is several thousand kilometers thick. It is produced by the central core of the Earth, which is made of about 80% iron and 20% nickel. It turns, the central core of the Earth turns around itself faster than the rotation of the Earth around itself, which causes day and night then. The rotation of the Earth causes day and night, but the rotation of its core is faster than the Earth's rotation. When a piece of iron turns around itself, it produces magnetism. This magnetic force at the area close to the Earth that we are living is very weak. And at 1,000 kilometers above the Earth, it becomes very strong. It becomes so strong that it will damage all the electronical equipment. If it was, so the astronauts which go towards the sky, they cover their spacecraft electronic equipments with very thick special metals to protect them from this magnetism. If this magnetism was strong so strong at the surface of the Earth, there could be no life on Earth. This magnetism stops the charged particles which come from the sun. The protons with positive charge and the electrons with negative charge. And they come towards the Earth. Before they reach the Earth and damage the life of, in fact, eradicate the life, this electrosphere stops them, absorbs them and stops them. The seventh sphere, which is the magnetism of the sun, is much stronger than the Earth's magnetism. There are very strong charged particles coming from the stars and the galaxies that if they reach the Earth, they will eradicate the life. But before, and the Earth's magnetism cannot stop them. This very strong magnetism of the sun stops them before they reach the Earth. The seven skies that I talked about them, they are seven spheres. They are all around the Earth. So the temperature at a certain distance from the Earth, let's say for example 70 kilometers from the Earth, whatever that temperature is, if at that area we go towards the east or towards the west and encircle the Earth, that temperature remains the same. And if we go to the north or towards the south and encircle the Earth, that temperature is the same. So that temperature is not just at one stop, it is all around the Earth. It is in 3 dimensions. One straight line has 1 dimension, a surface has 3 dimensions, and the space has 3 dimensions. A surface has 2 dimensions, and a space, like for example a box, has 3 dimensions. This temperature of the 70 kilometers or whatever distance from the Earth that we consider, they are all the same in 3 dimensions, which is very amazing. I repeat the verse 27 again. It says, "Are you harder to create or the sky?" 2, chapter 67, that is Surah Mulk, verses 3 and 4. A, verse 3. This verse talks about the God and states, "He who created the 7 skies, one above another. You see no incongruity in the creation of the beneficent God." Then look again. Can you see any disorder? I don't think after the discussion about the 7 skies, this verse needs any explanation. B, the next verse, verse 4, states, "Then turn back the eye again and again and again. Your look shall come back to you confused while it is fatigued." This verse states that there is an amazing harmony in the 7 skies, and in each of them, and no matter how many times we look at it, or in fact, with the scientific equipment we investigate it, we cannot find any opening or a small hole in it. The science approves this statement. 3 of the 3 chapters that I will talk about them. Number 3, chapter 37, that is Surah Safat, verses 1 and 11. A, verse 1, it states, "I swear to those who draw themselves in ranks." The word The word safe means those who are in ranks. But the word which is used here is the plural of it, is safat, which means every rank in the seven skies is exactly, everything in the seven skies is exactly in the rank, and there is nothing out of the ranks. This word, safat, has been used 2 times in this verse. In Arabic grammar, the second one emphasizes the first one. So it means every molecule and every atom is exactly in its right place in the ranks. B verse 11. It says, so ask them whether they are more difficult to create or those others whom we have created. Surely we created them from sticky clay. The late Dr. Ibrahim Yazdi has written a book in Farsi named The Clays and the Beginning of the Life. In this scientific book, he explains that the clay absorbs the bigger molecules which are in the sea. So it separates them from the smaller molecules and takes them into microscopic holes which is inside the clay. Here they come into contact with each other and they make larger molecules. This is the first step of producing DNA, which is necessary for producing the living organisms, including human beings. After what we heard about the creation of the seven skies and cooperation of the early sky and the earth for producing them, now we know that creation of the seven skies has been much more difficult than the creation of the human being, which started with the clay. Thank you very much, and God bless you.